Today, I'll show some of the darker sides of Congress and government. You'll understand why deep in your belly you love your country but don't trust your government. Alex Jones and RFK Jr. will show you the depths to which Big Pharma and the deep state will go to poison us and our kids. There's a lot of big stories, so let's jump right in. Thank you for always sharing and liking these videos. In a fiery Senate hearing yesterday, Health and Human Service Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. defended his restructuring of the CDC, likening the agency to a construction site in need of a complete overhaul. For over 3 hours, RFK sparred with bipartisan lawmakers, addressing accusations of chaos following his firing of CDC Director Susan Monarez after 29 days and the resignation of 3 senior officials. He dismissed vaccine misinformation claims, criticized the CDC's pandemic response, including school closures and mask mandates that were basically implemented by schools, not by scientists, and justified slashing mRNA research and advisory panel membership, restoring the agency to gold standard. Now, Republican Senators Bill Cassidy, John Barrasso, and Tom Tillis were among the Republicans that also pushed back on RFK Jr. Those that were worse, the most offensive, were Ron Wyden, Bernie Sanders, and Elizabeth Warren. In fact, Ron Wyden accused RFK of endangering the country and children with reckless, conspiracy-driven policies. RFK fired back, citing rising chronic disease rates under career politicians like Wyden, and touting HHS winning on the food contamination, food dye, and lowering drug prices front. Vice President J.D. Vance went off on X, backing RFK Jr., saying that these people were being horrible to somebody who was hired specifically to come in and remodel the entire agency. Let me show you some of the clashes that happened so that you can understand just how bad it really got.
All the evidence is transparent for the first time in history, and you were never there complaining when the pharmaceutical companies were picking those people and then running their products through with no safety testing.
You can characterize it any way you want. I quoted them today. What I said was accurate. What you said were lies. You described
Senator,
moving the Titanic.
Senator, are you saying that the mRNA vaccine has never been associated with myocarditis or pericarditis in teenagers?
I am simply.
Is that what you're trying to tell us?
I am simply trying to say that the people that you have put on that panel, after firing the entire.
You're evading the question.
No, I'm asking the questions here.
You're
Mr.
evading
Kennedy.
that question.
I'm asking the questions.
I
Mr.
asked
Kennedy.
you a question.
I'm asking the questions for Mr. Kennedy on behalf of parents and schools and teachers all over the United States of America who deserve so much better than your leadership. That's what this conversation is about, Mr. Chairman.
Senator, they deserve the truth, and that's what we're going to give them for the first time in the history of that agency.
All right, so as per usual, Democrats didn't show up with any facts or stats or data. That guy literally said to you, I know, well, he yelled, I know that what I'm saying to you is true because I'm quoting Big Pharma. So his rationale for why RFK Jr. is bad, that Trump picked a bad person, that mRNA technology is great, is because he's quoting Big Pharma. Give me a break. You think Big Pharma wouldn't lie in order to keep their profits going? Let me show you another big lie. Alex Jones, he goes off for 13 minutes. I'm only going to show you a minute and a half. But did you know, and I've been checking this with some of my Black friends, did you know that vaccines disproportionately harm Black Americans, specifically Black boys? They know this, and yet they cram it even harder on the Black community. Let me show this to you.
But in 2002, CDC did an internal study of Atlanta in Fulton County, Georgia, children, and looked at children who got the MMR vaccine on time and compared those to kids who got them later. So in other words, kids who got them before 36 months and kids who got them afterward. The data from that study showed that Black boys who got the vaccine on time had a 260% greater chance of getting an autism diagnosis than children who waited. The chief scientist on that, Dr. William Thompson, the senior vaccine safety science at CDC, was ordered to come into a room with 4 other co-authors by his boss, Frank DeStefano, who's the head of the immunization safety branch, and ordered to destroy that data. And then they published it without that fact.
I wish I could get the black leaders to talk about it. Louis Farrakhan does. You understand that on average, your men are 3 or 4 to 5 times more likely to get hurt by it than anybody else. And it'll kill white people too. But all of this stuff is aimed at you. But you're being taught that it's the white truck driver down the street that's screwing you over. He's got all the same bills. He didn't get any leg up. In fact, he's getting persecuted because he's a white man. By the same system poisoning all of us, so he'll turn against you and you'll turn against him. So we're all fighting with each other. Bill Gates can sit back while he kills all of us. And it's our boys that are being targeted.
All right. So data shows that boys are disproportionately more sensitive to what's in these vaccines. And most of these vaccines, they're not tested. Yesterday in the hearing, they admitted some of these vaccines were tested for 4 days, and then they threw out the data. But because they have 100% immunity protection, they don't have to go through the same standards as other medicine. But did you hear what they said? They found a study in 2002 that Black boys under the age of 36 months are 260% more likely to get autism if they're vaccinated, and they destroyed the findings. But luckily, a whistleblower came forward. Now, it wasn't all bad. Let me show you another piece of this.
What you should be doing is honoring your promise that you made when you were looking to get confirmed in this job.
You're going like this.
And that is, you promised that you would not take away vaccines from anyone who wanted them. You just changed the classification of the COVID vaccine.
I'm not taking them away from people, Senator.
It takes it away if you can't get it from your pharmacist.
Well, most Americans are going to be able to get it from their pharmacy for free. Most Americans will be able to get it from their pharmacy for free.
The question is, everyone who wants it, that was your promise.
No, I didn't. I never promised that I was going to recommend products with which there is no indication.
When you said,
and I know you've taken $855,000 from pharmaceutical companies, Senator.
Did you hold up a big sign saying that you were lying when you said that? Because you are the one who said you would not take them away. Now, Senator Kennedy,
I'm not taking them away from anybody.
Secretary,
you want me to indicate a product for which there is no clinical data?
Senator,
is that what you want?
Yikes. Okay. A couple of things. Number one, he points out, you've taken $855,000 recently from Big Pharma, and yet you're going to sit here and judge me, who's taken no money from Big Pharma. The other thing that she's conflating is she's saying, you promised that people would have access to vaccines. Now you're taking them away. He's literally taking nothing off of the market. The only thing he did was he said, we are no longer in a pandemic and you don't have emergency authorization use, but you can still go get a COVID shot if you're stupid enough to do it. Now, I don't mean to offend anybody in my community, but if you've watched me long enough, I believe that these are poison. I read the data every single day about turbo cancer, myocarditis, pericarditis. It's terrible. It's one of the worst products ever. They said in this very hearing that 32,000 reported deaths from the COVID shot within the first 2 days of getting it. They also said that this only represents 1% of the problems that are out there. So now listen to RFK Jr. as he spars with Bernie Sanders.
Dr. Oz, I
So
prescribe.
you got a few doctors who agree with you, and I'm giving you the
Not a
name.
few doctors. What you're talking about is there's a big difference, Senator, between established science and the scientific establishment, which has been co-opted by the pharmaceutical
Oh, hold on. So you're telling the American people that the American Medical Association, representing hundreds of thousands of people, have been co-opted and that they should not trust their doctors.
And I'm
the
telling you,
American Academy of Pediatrics, and by the way, just for the record, every single Republican, I don't mean to be political here, Mr. Chairman, has received PAC money from the pharmaceutical industry. Are they all corrupt as well?
And I'm telling you, the American Heart Association has been co-opted by the food
Everybody
industry.
but you, Senator. But you know what? When you ran for president, we have a corrupt campaign finance system. Maybe you will agree with me on that. Okay, you were already president. You got a billionaire behind it. You received $300,000 from people, not from the industry, people in it, as I did, from individuals. You corrupt. President Trump got $3 million. Every Republican got corporate PAC money for the pharmaceutical industry. Democrats as well. Everybody is corrupt, but you? Is that what we're looking at? I don't think so. And I think the issue now.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
So Big Pharma did not give any money. I love what Bernie Sanders is here. Okay, we know that elections are corrupt. We know that campaign finance is corrupt. Everybody has received corrupt money. I received corrupt money. Republicans have received corrupt money. And what? You're the only one that's good? And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm the only one here that never received money from Big Pharma. So yeah. And I love how Bernie Sanders is like, I don't mean to make this political. The only people coming down on RFK Jr. were the Democrats that are backed the most by Big Pharma. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you. There's so much more, but I'm not going to go through it. Okay, let's jump on to another topic. This one is crazy. Yesterday, ICE had one of its biggest busts for illegal immigrants in the workforce, American factories, in fact. Over 450 illegal immigrants were found working at a Hyundai battery plant after Biden gave $5 billion specifically to create American jobs. They went ahead and hired 475 illegal immigrants at the Hyundai battery factory in Georgia. Now, these are jobs that should have gone to American workers. Instead, it went to illegal immigrants. It's the single largest crackdown that we've ever seen. Now, this is a huge part of Georgia's economy. Oh, don't you think that there are probably Georgians that would want those jobs? You're telling me you couldn't find 475 American workers in Georgia that would want that job? There's not 475 Black Americans in Georgia that would want a manufacturing job. There's not 475 white Americans, Asian Americans, Cuban Americans, Latinos, Hispanics, Asians. You're telling me that? I don't think so. They gave them billions and billions of dollars in order to create these batteries for the clean energy agenda. And what happened? They came in and they gave these jobs to illegals. Then you have Gen Z complaining to Charlie Kirk and others. We can't find a job that pays a livable wage. We can't make it in America. And then they dug a little bit deeper and they found out that a lot of these immigrants, they're living in households with 5 families in one house. These people, they're getting paid slave labor wages. These should be going to Americans. Now, let me show you this. This woman, I believe she sums up better than even I can the theft of your jobs here in America. Let's go ahead and watch her together because she says it brilliantly.
450 illegal immigrants were just arrested in an automotive plant for Hyundai in the state of Georgia. 450 illegal immigrants were working in the Hyundai plant in the state of Georgia, and they were apprehended. I don't think people truly grasp what this means or how this reflects this country or how it correlates to how so many of you are struggling to make ends meet or support a family. A lot of you guys bring up the fact that back in the 50s, a man could work at an auto plant and make enough money to support his family, raise children, have a household, and have a good quality of life. But the American dream is dead because every time I try to find a job, I can't find one that makes a livable wage. That's why, because that's who you're competing with. Because those auto workers were middle-class workers, right? They used to be all unionized, and they had benefits, and they had good pay, and they had pensions. And now you've got illegals coming in working for peanuts, even though the price of cars keeps going up. And now you can't find a job to be able to support yourself. 450 blue-collar American jobs just in that town alone were stolen by illegal immigrants from that one plant. And there are thousands of auto plants all over this country. It really makes you wonder how many tens of thousands, if not millions of Americans are missing out on those blue-collar middle-class jobs where they could support their lifestyle, have a family, live the American dream. They're incapable of it. The irony is people can come here from other countries undocumented, cross our border illegally, and pursue supporting their own family, but Americans that are born here can't. This isn't a race problem. This isn't a lack of acceptance of other people's culture problem. This is people coming here and completely destroying our economy and destroying our middle class. This is what the death of the middle class looks like. An inability to get a job where you can support yourself, where Americans historically used to be able to, because people are coming here illegally and working those jobs for next to nothing because they weren't raised here, so they don't know the value of an American dollar. And as a result, we all suffer. If you're struggling to support yourself or to be able to raise a family yourself or have your own household, and you're asking yourself why, this should piss you the hell off.
All right. It does. Think how many factories around the country are probably employing illegal immigrants. Why? Because they don't have to give them health care. They don't have to give them 401k, paid time off, emergency time off for a funeral. They can literally grind these people into the ground. You've got Tyson Chicken that was busted for hiring children. You've got marijuana farms in California with kids under the age of 14 picking marijuana for free because there's no parents. They're literally orphaned. It's really despicable. And this is why they wanted 20 million illegals to flood in, so that they could fire you and hire somebody who would live in a house with 5 other families and work for peanuts. That's why. This is a huge deal. And then you've got morons over here. Look at this. Republican Lieutenant Governor of Indiana causes outrage by advocating for 40,000 Haitian migrants to be moved into Indiana. This guy wants to bring 40,000 people from Haiti instead of American workers and let them go to work. Now, I have nothing against Haitians. I've met several of them. They're really great. The poverty over there is like nothing you've ever seen in your life. When I lived in the Dominican Republic, I saw poverty so bad, it scared me. So I get it. I get why they would want to come up here, especially after the Clinton Foundation stole billions and billions of dollars and they weren't able to rebuild after that horrible earthquake. Now they're saying, listen, we've got Americans here on welfare. We've got people that can't make a livable wage. Oh, I know what we'll do. We'll bring in 40,000 people. Can you imagine 40,000 people that don't speak English, that don't have skills being dumped into a small town? It's a recipe for disaster is what it is. And now you've got a Republican governor begging, please let us bring in 40,000 people from a different country that speak Creole and don't have a work ethic because their country doesn't have the same values as America. It's crazy. All right, now President Trump is asking the Supreme Court to overturn a federal appeals court decision saying he has no authority as the chief executive of America to negotiate tariffs, to leverage tariffs to end wars, to get what we want around the country. A 7-4 appeals court ruled against the president, saying he has no authority. Attorney General Pam Bondi blasted the ruling, saying that the president does have authority, needs this for U.S. global leverage, and pledged to restore presidential authority so that the Trump administration can move forward. Now the Supreme Court is saying we're willing to take up the case, but probably not until summer of 2026. In the meantime, President Trump has said this remains in force. Now, I love President Trump. He is the #1 memer on planet Earth. Look at this. As he announces that he's going to go into Chicago, he posted, "I love the smell of deportation in the morning. Chicago's about to find out why it's called the Department of War." So he's clearly letting Chicago know we are coming. We are coming to clean up crime, drugs, arrest criminals, and get illegal immigrants out. Now, let me know in the comments, do you still support President Trump? Just think about how many jobs are taken by these 20 million illegal immigrants that could go to Americans. Spots at school, literally, the teachers in our district are complaining. I don't have time to work with the American children because I've got to speak with a Chinese student, with a Haitian student, with a Spanish student, and they don't speak their language. So it's eating up time, money, and resources that should go to your family because you're paying property taxes, because you're paying income taxes. So, but this is what the government wanted. They say, oh, there's no such thing as replacement theory. And then they're trying to replace us all the time. They say, oh no, this is a byproduct of white supremacy. Well, they're replacing whites. They're also replacing blacks. You know how mad black people are in Chicago to find out their YMCA was taken over, their school systems were taken over, the illegals were getting $5,000 to $10,000 a month in grocery help, that they were literally being given checks where they could outcompete residents of Chicago for rent. It's a slap in the face. But hopefully there's a lot of change that is coming. And now President Trump is saying we might go into Louisiana. The murder rate in New Orleans is out of control, and we've got to clean it up. President Trump genuinely feels that as president, it is his duty to keep America safe, to close the border, and to make us as rich as possible. And I, for one, voted for this. Let me know in the comments. If you voted for this, I want you to type, I voted for this. I want to hear from you guys. All right, I love you so much. I've got an incredible interview coming out later today. Probably one of the best I've done. I'm really excited. All right, I love you guys. Stay amazing, and I will see you on the next video.